But these are the black pine Literatis. So the black pines are typically considered the king of bonsai, really. While the Shimpaku Juniper is iconic in the sense that it's the most popular, as far as bonsai enthusiasts tend to really go for the black pines. Black pines are typically found, as far as like the large trees, are typically found on like, you know, near the coast. So it usually takes a lot of damage as far as like wind and stuff. So they're very, very sturdy trees. For instance, this right here is the Literati black pine. The Literati black pine is kind of known for the fact that it grows a lot taller. And also when they prune it, they try to make sure that there's no leaf or no branches over here. It's supposed to emulate what it looks like in the forest. Not completely, obviously. There's a lot of different things, you know, lots of bending and things you can do up here, but they try to keep everything up top. So while it's in the forest, it's usually competing for sunlight. So it's usually in a crowded area. So what'll happen is the tree will try to grow as tall as it can and try to keep all its resource collecting branches up here. It really has no use to grow any branches down here. So it usually gets rid of that. And that's what it's trying to emulate right here. Because the sun's up top. So it's just gonna keep wanting to push taller and taller to outgrow its competitors, which is basically its neighbors. So that's what the Literati is really trying to replicate. One thing that, and we have plenty more too. So if you wanna see other black pines, absolutely. But you can see here, this does have the exposed roots. That technique of growing is something that isn't necessarily, it's not easy to do. So these trees are, not all of them, but most of them are roughly about 10 years old. It takes a long time to get these curves, to get this shape, to have the exposed roots. And there's lots of love and care that goes into every single one of these trees. So not only are you paying for the tree itself, sometimes the pot, most of the time the pot, but you're also paying for the experience, the care, the maintenance, the training that went into these trees to get to these points. So what's interesting though, if you notice, these are a lot smaller than the Literati black pine. The Literati black pine tend to be a lot taller. They don't have branches towards the bottom, while this one, as you notice, has a very unique alien look to them. Like they tend to be a little bit more bulbous. They have a lot more visual personality to them. And they almost look like plants that you find on like Pandora, the alien planet from Avatar. Not The Last Airbender, the Blue People movie. But you're gonna notice that they have a lot more like curvature, like small little curvature, like bulbs almost on them. It looks very alien. But the one thing you'll notice though, and this is gonna kind of break the secret here, you see how this guy has the wire right here? That's not natural. So there's different methods of achieving this form, but I will say that the outcome's the same. As they're younger, what they'll do is they'll let one branch grow really long. Or in this case, instead of letting that branch grow, they'll just wrap the wire around the trunk, and same thing with one branch, they'll wrap it around the other branches and they'll create like a little knot. And then as the tree starts growing, as it starts getting wider, it's gonna completely envelop that wire. And that's how it creates these little like bulbs. These are the long needle black pines, very similar to the other black pines, although these are not as bulbous, but you can see that the needles are much, much longer. It really is a stylistic choice. There's different ways to do it, but these have been grown and they don't really tamper with these too much. I know, especially when shaping your black pines, they tend to, sometimes cut the little, I think they're called candles on these guys. They tend to snip the candles, and that's kind of what keeps it short. So what's interesting, So what's interesting is when it comes to like pruning, these are a little bit different than the, say, maples or the elms. Um, in order to maintain those visual like miniature looks, what you're gonna do is you're going to cut the leaves from the base around midsummer, and then that's gonna tell the tree, hey, don't grow the leaves that much longer. So it's gonna flood to try to grow new leaves, but it doesn't have the energy to grow them as large as as the other ones do. Now, since we're still in the pine world, I want to go ahead and show you guys the white pine. So while the black pine may be the king of bonsai, the white pine is the queen of bonsai. A lot of people tend to think that the white pine is a lot more elegant, is a lot more delicate, but I wouldn't say more fragile. At the end of the day, it's still a tree. So it's typically seen as the queen of bonsai. One of the things you're going to notice is the needle color is a lot lighter, which is partially where it gets its name. Oftentimes what you'll see, and not for this one, but for a lot of the white pines you'll find online, is that it tends to be grafted onto a different tree at the bottom, but this one's not grafted. I'm not seeing any grafting points at all here. But yeah, so this one, again, very similar to the black pine, but still different. Again, this is the white pine. You see that it's just a lot more, as far as the ones that we have, a lot more generous with its pines. Now, these trees are the variegated, what was it? Sericea. No, Cerisa. Variegated Cerisa. However, I cannot help but to call it the snow and June because it's easier for me to say. So these are beautiful plants, and especially as they start getting, towards the spring, summer season, you're gonna see these branches really start filling in with the leaves and also the beautiful white blooms that it has, the white flowers. Absolutely gorgeous with these right here. One thing to consider, one thing that's funny here, is these are very temperamental trees. They don't really like, not that all trees like being moved around, but they don't really like being moved around. These get jostled a little bit, so there's a little bit of bare spaces here, but as it gets comfortable, once it kind of finds a place that it really likes, it's gonna start growing leaves. It's gonna start completely filling in. And I know a lot of people kind of worry because they're like, oh no, my snow and June dropped all its leaves. It's not dying. It's just throwing a temper tantrum. So take that into consideration. But aside from that, once it gets all settled, it's gonna look gorgeous. So the boxwoods themselves are fantastic. So what's funny is the trunk itself has a very craggly look to it, as you can see here. So it almost has like this ancient aged look to it. And then the leaves themselves are micro leaves. So you can see here, the leaves are small and they will stay small. So those two factors alone, oh, and it has a very dense canopy as well. So those three factors alone make it look like it's a tree that I literally shrunk from outside and put it over here. If you're new to bonsai, these are fantastic. These are probably the most iconic trees that we have. And when I say iconic, I mean, they're typically the ones that you see in movies, in TV shows, in video games even. I know when I was playing Yakuza, I would see it in Yakuza. And then Sleeping Dogs, they were in Sleeping Dogs as well. So as far as iconic trees, the Shimpaku Juniper is really the way to go. We also have, so with this particular tree, and I'll show you others, they don't all have this, but what they did right here is they stripped the bark on this and bleached it a little bit, so it's gonna be a lot lighter. Now the reason they do that, that is actually a style that they do. It's called Jin. So basically it's supposed to emulate, or at least it's supposed to look like lightning struck the tree itself. And so that's the particular style there. And again, this right here is the Shimpaku Juniper. You can see that this does have the wire on it, and I know a lot of the time it looks a little unnatural, but what the wire does is you can see that we have the black, I think it's just still copper, the black wire here. You have some of the silver, smaller wires. Basically, if you're not familiar with bonsai, what that does is that's how it's placed on there, and that's basically how it gets its shape. And so when you receive it, you're gonna, you could shape it however you want. It's probably gonna be a little bit more compact. We're probably gonna push it in a little bit for it to be in the box. But once you get it out, shape it however you want. So, you could go ahead and bend it. You could go ahead and just whatever design you want to do with that. And then from there, you could go ahead and leave it there for, usually we recommend about 6 to 8 months. That should give the branches enough time to really thicken and kind of grow into the shape that it's going to be. And then you could remove the wires. Typically, it's going to be good for about a year, but before you have to rewire it. But you have to take in consideration that there's going to be new branches that come out that you have to decide whether you want to prune or you want to cut or whatever method you want to do. But you are going to have to rewire it again later. So this one right here is the Ruixue, the Dwarf Ruixue apple tree. So, you're only getting the bottom part. So the Dwarf Ruixue apple tree is really cool. Okay, so it is a bonsai. Bonsai. So I'm going to do it all this stream now. So it is a bonsai, but not in the sense that you're probably picturing with the other ones. So while this one, or while with the other trees, for example, this is the best example, how you have the copper wire going around so you could shape the branches. You cannot shape the branches to this one. Yeah, no, the apple trees are really cool, Jeff. And that's, honestly, and I'll show you guys why in just a second here. So this tree is grafted onto a dwarf tree, and that's what's going to keep it. It's why I think I'm able to say bonsai right here, right? Because it keeps the tree small. However, you do have grafted onto this tree a healthy apple branch. And so we essentially change the DNA to the point where the tree only gets to about 3 to 5 feet tall. That's it. Just 3 to 5 feet tall. What's interesting though is the DNA that we could not change is the apples. They grow full size, grocery store size apples right on this tiny little tree. It does take a lot of energy, so you want to make sure that it's getting properly. You have the good soil in it, has good fertilizer in it. Want to make sure it's getting plenty of vitamins. But like in 2 to 3 years, you're looking at full-size apples. The maple is a beautiful tree, especially it has beautiful gradients on it as well. So as the seasons go, you're going to see the leaves change from the green that it is now to like a yellow and like an auburn during the fall. It's such a beautiful tree. But as I was saying, these are absolutely fantastic beginner trees. They're very, very forgiving is why. So let's say you give it a bad haircut, right? Let's say you prune a little too short. Just a couple of weeks, the tree will grow new leaves. Let's say you forget to water it for a little bit. It does retain a lot of moisture, so it's going to be able to, survive for a while. So these guys are fantastic starting ones. So if you guys have been lurking around Plant Talk and been checking out the bonsai, but like you've been nervous to get into it, these are it. These are the ones you want to start with. We recommend keeping these outside if possible. I know some people will like to keep theirs inside, but when they go to work during the day, they'll put it outside. That way it can get as much sun. Or if you keep it inside, keep it near a window that's going to get a lot of sun. It's my recommendation. Keep an eye on the moisture on the inside. There's different ways to do that. You could simply rub the dirt. You'll see that I picked up some dirt on my finger there. Or you could even do the chopstick method. You can get a chopstick, put it right into the tree or right into the roots, let it sit for a bit, pull it out. It's almost like checking the oil. When is the best time to root prune? So if you're gonna repot and prune down the roots, I would recommend doing that every 2 years. 2 to 3 years is what the recommendation is. So, but again, it really depends on, you know, if you see noticeable growth and you have it in a small pot, it might be time to upgrade to a better pot. Especially if you purchase a tree through us. Now, there's nothing wrong with these. These are nice plastic pots, or actually I think these are plastic. We do have a lot of resin ones too. Typically when repotting, you want to put it into a ceramic or clay pot. The reason why is those pots are a lot more breathable. The reason why we don't ship a lot of our trees in those pots is because it would add to the shipping, and we already do for a lot of the trees free shipping. So we want to make sure to not have you spend as much money. That way you get the tree that you want. Those tiny white bugs are likely mealy bugs. You can remove them by wiping the leaves with cotton swab dipped in rubbing alcohol. For larger infestations, use insectal soap or neem oil. Neem is spelled N-E-E-M. So neem oil, making sure to spray both the top and underside of the leaves. Repeat treatment every few days until they are gone. One of the questions that I often get is where we get our bonsai. So we source our bonsai from this place in Half Moon Bay. If you're in California near the Bay Area, highly recommend checking out Half Moon Bay Bonsai. They are incredibly knowledgeable. They have trees that are 20, 30 years old that are absolutely gorgeous. The only reason we don't sell those trees here is because it would be incredibly expensive to ship to you, and we want to make sure it gets to you safely. But I will say that if you purchase any of the trees that we have, you will be receiving our contact information and care instructions. So the care instructions are nice. That way it's something that you could easily glance to in case you want to say, if you want to know about pruning or watering, the care instructions will be there. But if your tree does something weird, I'm not sure, maybe it drops its leaves or it turns a little brown, you can give us a call and we'll help you take care of it. So we'll manage that for you, no problem at all. We do priority shipping, usually takes about 3 days. So if you get, if you purchase the tree, we want to make sure that it gets as much sunlight as possible. So we try not to keep it in the box for too long. It's just something to consider. We do not ship to Hawaii, Alaska, Florida, Texas, Washington, Ohio, or Virginia. It's a certificate issue. We're working on it, but just at the moment, we cannot ship to those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 states. So if you live in the lucky 43 states, then we could ship that out to you.